all day, all year round.
It's so mysterious.
This is who we are.
This is who we are.
WADR. Attention, ladies and gentlemen.
It's time to embrace a youthful mindset and envision your future. Take the lead is in your walls.
Take the lead is in your walls.
This platform serves as a space for engagement designed to equip young people to become effective leaders. They are actively contributing, creatively engaged, and determined in various fields. And now, this is Take the Lead.
Hello, West Africa, and greetings to the world at large. We are back, and it's time to take the lead on West Africa, the Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM, Dakar, Senegal, and online at WADR.org. I am Augustine Bilkali, and today's conversation is one you don't want to miss. We are exploring beyond the classroom, understanding how educational field trips enhance young people's soft skills. Children in formal education are known to struggle with being motivated to learn, making it difficult to retain the learned content. A study by the U.S. Travel Association found that children who take school trips have better grades by 59%, higher graduation rates from high school by 95%, from college by 63%, and higher income by 12% annually. But is this the case in West Africa? By extension, is this the case in Africa? If yes, why or why not? Well, as always, your voice matters. So share your opinions with us on the show. We will be reading your comments live on our feed, just on YouTube and Facebook. Our guests today will also share their experiences as well as provide meaningful information relevant to the discussion today. They are pretty seated in studio right here with me. We have Ndeye Mate Job. And Mati is a business administration and management professional in Senegal. There are additional information that, she has, and she occupies some positions. She will be telling us more about them. But it's a privilege to have Mati with us in the studio today. How are you doing, Mati, and welcome.
Thank you. I'm doing great.
How does it feel being in our studio today?
Feels good. It's new for me, but I'm very excited about the topic. I'm passionate about education, especially for the continent and this part of the continent. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have maybe told the public more about your role and the organization. Would you mind explaining that shortly?
Yeah, sure. So I work for an international NGO that works in AI, robotics, and data. We essentially have a network of organizations, and I am the regional coordinator for this network in West, North, Central, and East Africa.
I mean, we have a big woman in the house, but welcome. We are privileged to have you with us today. We also have Emil Jiba, and Emil is an English teacher from the Gambia, but he's right here in Senegal and in the studio with us, providing knowledge to young people in Senegal, all the way from the Gambia, or not all the way, but just close by anyway, one would say. But how do you feel being here on the platform today, Emil?
It's actually a pleasure to be here. I am absolutely glad and honored to be part of this program to share my knowledge. Mm-hmm. I am an English teacher and I've taught for like 9 years, 7 years in the Gambia and 2 years in Senegal.
You are a young man.
Yeah,
How is it going with you?
It's going well. It's going well.
One would say, why did you leave the young people, your fellow young people in the Gambia, to come and share the knowledge with Senegalese?
Yeah, I felt that it's going to be an added experience. I've taught in the Gambia for quite a long time, and Senegal, being so close to the Gambia, you realize that we operate under a different educational system. So it was a challenge that I was up for, and then I took it, and it's actually helping me grow in my career as a teacher, because this is the job I've chosen to be well when I was going to school. So it was a challenge that I took, and it's really working for me. Yeah.
That's good to know that it's really working for you. you. So welcome. We are privileged to have you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Well, we have Harvey Adu, and Adu is also a language instructor from Cote d'Ivoire, but he's right here in Senegal, especially in our studio, WADR studio. How are you doing, Adu? Welcome.
I'm doing fine. I'm doing very well.
How is Senegal treating you?
Senegal, actually, this is my second time, I must say. I like the culture, definitely. Worked here for like 3 years.
3 years?
Yes, 3 years.
In the educational sector?
My major is a human resources and psychologist. Okay, but on the field, you meet different stuff, and you go for what can actually pay the bills. I was working actually in a tourism and hotel, and I was teaching English on the side, for a second job.
Well, welcome, Mr. Adu. I mean, you have a lot to provide to the young people listening to you, especially other young people back home in Cote d'Ivoire following you online. So we are happy to have you with us. Of course, not forgetting you, our online viewers and listeners, please share your comment with us. What do you make of this decision? What's extra out of the classroom? What is there? Those field trips, often young people want to go on field trips, live in the classroom. They want to go and see what they are reading about. What's the importance? How does it benefit them? What's the impact it has when they graduate from that course, from that class, from the university, when they are out there and making lives for themselves? How does it benefit them? And we'll certainly read your comment out. Well, but first, let's remind you that educational approaches to enhance students' learning experience often focus on fostering active learning, promoting exploration, experiments, questioning and reflection, as well as stimulating imagination and creativity during the lessons. But outside the classroom, there are amazing experiences, and these experiences are in abundance for you to grab as a student. Let's now join WDR's Veronica Jai to tell us more about the significance of educational field trips.
Long considered mere school trips, educational travel is now emerging as a genuine school training tool. Beyond academic knowledge, it allows young people to develop behavioral skills or soft skills, which have become increasingly essential in a rapidly changing job market. According to UNESCO, nearly 63% of employers believe that the skills gap is one of the main obstacles to recruitment. In sub-Saharan Africa, more than 230 million jobs will require digital skills by 2030, as well as transferable skills such as communication, teamwork, creativity, critical thinking, and adaptability. In West Africa, many universities, schools, and youth organizations are increasingly focusing on academic exchanges, company visits, community immersion programs, and regional mobility initiatives. These experiences allow young people to discover other realities, work in multicultural environments, and strengthen their independence. However, these opportunities remain limited. The cost of travel, administrative hurdles, and a lack of funding hinders the mobility of many students. In their latest report, the African Union, UNESCO, and UNICEF emphasized that the continent must accelerate the transformation of its education system to better prepare young people for the demands of the job market and foster the development of transferable skills. In a context where Africa will have one of the world's largest youth populations, investing in educational trips is increasingly seen as an investment in human capital, because traveling also means learning to collaborate, innovate, and become a citizen capable of thriving in a constantly changing world. Educational trips, a lever for developing young people's soft skills. Join Augustine Coley as he discusses this with his guests.
What a nice one there from Veronique Njai, bringing us closer to what we are to understand about leaving the classroom and going out to see for yourself what you are reading about, what the instructor or teacher is telling you. See for yourself how things have been done outside and what can you learn. How does it impact the student's life or that young person's livelihood? But let's begin firstly with Mr. Adu. What did you capture from what Veronique said from this summary about leaving the classroom as a young person and going out to experience what you are reading about in the classroom?
First of all, I must say one thing. I believe that there's three types of education for me: street, academy, and home. Okay, so that shows you how much you cannot only stay in the classroom and learn things. There's a lot to learn out of the classroom to actually make that well balanced of knowledge for your brain for these young people. So for me, is actually a very, very strong impact, okay? And step outside of your box, of your comfort zone to embrace, something new. It's quite exciting. And yes, why not?
Okay.
Definitely.
Three important things you mentioned, the street, the academy, and home. But I would love to focus on maybe the street. That is, leaving your home, going on the street, leaving the academy, going on the street. What's there? But thank you so much. Let's know the importance or the role that field trips play, especially educational field trips. How do they impact the child's overall learning experience? And for that, we will turn to you, Mati. Please share your idea with us.
Yes. So for me, I would even extend to extracurricular activities in general, beyond even just field trips. I think as a young person, as a child, it's very important to experience the world and kind of see outside of the theory of the classroom what's going on there. For me personally, it's been transformative. I remember, for instance, even from primary school or junior high, I would notice problems around me and try to kind of get my friends together to work on them and create solutions, and it really led me to roads I couldn't have imagined. Like, for instance, having to go to the town hall to get material, maybe for a school cleaning. Like, I wouldn't imagine maybe, I wouldn't even think of the town hall as a young person at that age. And you discover, so this is here, what do they do? So it's exposure, it's discovery, and also you learn a lot by working with others. So it gives you an opportunity to interact in a different way with your peers, because in the classroom, it's a lot about theory, grades, learning, discipline. It's very important. But outside the classroom, it becomes about other things, like how to interact with others, how to create your voice, leadership, communication, adapting to situations, because real life does not follow the book necessarily. So, and I think those things specifically for the continent, for Africa, are very important, because for instance, today, one of the biggest problems we have is young people finding employment. And we realize there's a gap between graduates and what they know and what they've learned with what companies need in terms of hires, what they're looking for. And that gap, I think, has a lot to do with knowing in reality what these organizations need. And yeah, a lot of that, I think, comes from even very early on, extracurricular activities and field trips, I guess.
What could be the significance for you, Emil? What could be the significance of young people leaving the classroom and going out to experience firsthand?
Yeah, like Javier has highlighted, you realize that learning is not just about the classroom. He has highlighted home and then the streets. So when we limit learning to just the classroom, you realize that we are kicking away a lot of opportunities that young people could use to learn a lot. And like she has highlighted as well, you realize that what we teach in school and then in reality, when it comes to the job market, there is that gap. So like she said, exposing young people to educational field trips could really help in building and shaping them, in even shaping them in a way that they could be ripe for the job market. So you realize that educational field trips might not only be about building their communication, leadership, and all that, but you realize that it could also help them when it comes to choosing a career. Like I could decide that, okay, this is what I want to be, but I might not be that sure. But when let's say if I want to be a journalist and then there is an educational field trip to West Africa Democracy Radio, and I come here and I see what is happening, then that could inform my decision of what I want to be. Then you realize that from an early age, if young people are exposed to workplaces, if they are exposed to educational field trips, they might have the opportunity to go to places that, let's say in the next 5-10 years, that they could be working there. So educational field trips have this significant role in the education and the growth of young people as they go through school. So I would say that definitely educational field trips is not something that we should kick out, or it's not something that we can negotiate when it comes to the growth and then shaping the career path of young people that are going to school.
Two important things so far I've captured from you and Mati about exposure and discovery. So it means young people are exposed to what's outside, what they've been told by the instructor, what they've been reading all throughout. They are now exposed to it when they get out. They also discover new things. But what would we say about some of the new things, or in other words, skills or experience that these young people, really come across, or the benefit or experience when they get out of the classroom? You want to tell us, Havid?
Yeah, I think first of all, stepping out of the classroom, it's a quite new experience. Okay, practicing and learning in class are two different things. Okay, for me, there's one experience where something that I remember when I was actually in the US, Atlanta. You have to keep up your grades actually to have your name on a field trip list.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. If your grades are down, you're not going. That was my school. And so people were very excited, because those that actually made it and when they come back and they explain to you what actually they saw out there, you just want to experience the same thing. And my first field trip, I was like, we went to the headquarters of Coca-Cola, and I was amazed, because I find out that Coca-Cola was not just Coca-Cola. I didn't know in my entire life that Coca-Cola was actually making Fanta, Sprite, and so many other products. You understand? For me, Coca-Cola was just Coca-Cola.
Okay, so but how did that help you in terms of what you were learning in the classroom?
How did that help me? First of all, I saw how important, how you can say, the math, physics, and
Chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry. Of course, chemistry, how important it was. I didn't know then that chemistry was actually something that I needed if I wanted to work in industry like Coca-Cola.
Okay.
You understand?
All right, I got that. But now let's also look at the ideal destination for students to go. Is it a particular place that should be a priority area for young people? Or maybe if you're studying, for an example, chemistry, you should go to an industrial site. Or does it have to be an ordinary place that a student can go? For you, Mati?
For me, I think the choice should be more about the significance of the places. One of the field trips I remember also from primary school, I think we visited the house of the late first president of Senegal, Léopold Sédar Senghor. And I don't think I realized the significance of that at the moment. But looking back now, I'm thinking it's very important for a young person at that age to be able to identify to something like the president, someone like the president, be able to say, okay, this is a person that came from where I live, and they worked, they studied, they did this and that, and they made it to the, one of the highest positions one can hold in the country. So I think the choice of the places should have to do more with the significance of these and what they can do. And I agree with what was said just now about career choice, particularly. I used to want to be a doctor, like when I was, maybe in primary school and secondary, I wanted to be a doctor, but then I had the opportunity to be an exchange student. So I lived in the US in 10th grade, and that exposed me to so many different areas and fields, career potential pathways, and I completely shifted direction. And I couldn't have had that opportunity if I never had the chance to get out of my comfort zone. So I think it should be more about what the children do, what the students will do, and the significance of those places. Does it match the needs we have in our markets, the challenges we're dealing with, and where we need people to have expertise and solve problems?
Okay, talking about the skills that these young people may experience or may benefit when they go out of the classroom, what could be some of them for you, Emil?
Yeah, I will take an example of a field trip I organized last year with my students. I was teaching them names of birds in English. I know a little bit of birds. I'm not an expert. But what I did was, after taking them through the names of some birds in English, their adaptation, and then their migration route and all that. So later I connected with Technopole. They are experts in birds. Technopole is just a place around Pekin. That is a reserve land. So when we went there, what happened was they took us through, and then we saw a lot of birds. But later on, during the course of that program, I came to realize that some of my students can imitate the sounds of birds. And then we called them in front of the assembly, and then they were imitating sounds of birds. Now you realize that, let's say if one of them want to be a bird tour guide in the future, you realize that that trip has already brought out something in that individual that the person could develop. So this is what we are talking about when we talk about educational field trips. These are some of the skills that it can expose, or it can reveal, that is hidden within the students that we have. So for me, that really stood out for me. After organizing that trip, you realize that at some point, some of them are good in drawing, so we asked them to draw birds, some of the birds that they saw during the course of the field trip, the educational field trip. Some of them could explain, so we asked them to write something and explain. So you realize that in a single field trip, there are a lot of skills that you can reveal. Like in our case, you realize that the one that can imitate birds was called out to come and imitate birds. Those that can draw were asked to draw. Those that can explain presentation skills were asked to present something. So you realize that educational field trips are multidimensional. You might target it for one thing, but at the end of the day, it reveals a lot of things. That is why I said initially, if we are serious about education, then educational field trip is not something that we can really get behind.
What about revealing the interactive nature that is hidden within the students or the young people? Talking about a student who doesn't really contribute in the classroom. When the lesson is being taught, they are only just listening and writing down. They don't really participate in having conversation, asking questions. But then on the field trip, you see them, hey, do you see that? I mean, this is nice. I've seen this. I like this. But they don't do that in the class. How does that? How do you feel about that? And how does it help that student? For you, Harvey?
For me, I think it's all about observation. Okay, if you see a young a student actually acting that way, when he get excited about getting out there, and now he can actually move around, showing things, participating. It means that it's not maybe a person that's supposed to work in an office. It's a field like person. You understand? Like I don't know, a guide, or football coach. Who knows? Something like outdoor, not an indoor job, not a corporate, someone that can be on maybe marketing, going out there, interacting with people. You understand? It's not like someone who will be like a governor inside, doing conferences and stuff like that. Then you can see, as you see the body language and the way they are moving and the way they interact, I think you can actually see how they can actually excel if, they have a chance to, go that way.
Interesting. For you, Marty, you were talking about discovery and exposure as two key elements of your opening statement. What about building confidence? Does it also build the confidence of young person leaving the classroom and going out there? What about having a conversation, being interactive with the fellow students, talking about building teamwork? And would you mind explaining how these elements also factor in helping the young person?
Definitely. I would even say character overall. I think it's a very delicate age, between junior high, high school, up to even university. You're still, as a young person, building your character, developing your values, identifying what you believe in, what you don't believe in, and kind of just relating to your immediate world. And I think it's that's why it's important that it's not just about going outside. It's also about what you do when you go outside and how the students interact with their environment. What kind of activities do they do? And do they have the space to actually express themselves, ask questions? I know, for instance, in the Francophone context, we're often kind of asking questions can be very quickly taboo. So like you'll have students be a little timid because they'll make sure they don't touch anything. And I've noticed in the English speaking world, as I call it, it's a completely different story. Like students will go and ask questions, touch things, interact with their environment. And I think that's the kind of thing we need to encourage beyond it just, being about going someplace. For instance, I would say one thing we struggle with in Senegal is we don't have, for instance, a lot of factories, like enough in terms of industry, like transforming products. So I would say, it would be important to always take students to factories, like where they transform local products here, to see that. And I would allow them, to ask as many questions, maybe even meet some of the professionals so they can even imagine working in those industries, because we know it's a problem we have here. So and that builds your character, because as you do it, you realize, oh, okay, it's not that bad to ask questions. It's okay to make mistakes. Okay, this person comes from the same area where I come from. Maybe they come from a rural area and they're working here today, so I can do it too. It gives you that kind of boost, because I think identifying to other people who have made it to a place you kind of look up to as a young person is very important. And so that builds confidence, that helps you kind of define your objectives. Also, decide, okay, this is potentially something I want to explore. Maybe like he mentioned chemistry and, math and physics being important for something. You can say, okay, so what I'm actually learning in the classroom, it's very important if I want to make it here. But I think it also takes a village. So it takes the professor, the parents, the community kind of coming in for that guidance.
Looking at independence and responsibility, I remember a time during my like secondary education time, there were a couple of field trips, but then each time we return, there will be this quiz or test. Tell us about what was your experience, what was so critical, what you didn't understand, and how can you explain that on the paper? And that is different from the subject that we even went to have a first-hand experience about. Now, it comes with you writing from your own observation, looking at what you've experienced and how can we work to change this? What were the challenges that you observed, maybe from residents in the area or from the factory that you visited? I'm just concerned about how does it build the critical thinking of a person from the classroom, writing about their own observation aside from just what they've been told to go and see. For you as a teacher, how does that help the student?
Yeah, like it was said earlier, we were talking about how significant is the place that they are visiting. I think also how we tailor some of these educational field trips also matters. because it's not just about going and then coming back. So you realize that you will have to tailor it in a way that we the students know, like you have an activity before you go, and then there are activities on during the trip, and then after the trip there should be other activities, and that will be where students will of course come and then not just what they were told, like you said, but they also should be able to express some of the things that they've seen, because sometimes they might be told other things, but then they saw certain things there that they will need to interpret on their own. So giving them that opportunity to come back again together and then share some of their experiences, some of the things that they've seen, will also help in their critical thinking, and also help in how they interpret things, because they've interacted with the environment out there, and then they've made their own observations. Now it will be important to also bring them together again, let them interpret or let them express how they interpret some of the things that they've seen. And now going back to the question that you asked, Harvey, because when I was organizing the bird trip that we did, you realize that most of the students that I was targeting then were students that were in my class, but they were not taking part. But I realized that they are good in drawing. So when I was designing the educational field trip, in fact, it was one of the parents that helped me to put that program together, where we study birds. And then the ultimate goal was to get some of them, see the birds out there and draw them. But you realize that when we got into the educational field trip itself, one of the boys that could imitate the sound of birds was one of those students that would always be shy in class. He wouldn't take part. He's always behind. But then through this educational field trip, in fact, you realize that my interaction with him changed, because I was able to involve him into something that he really loved. And then he started getting so close to me, and then we started doing a lot of things from the educational field trip. They did some drawings, and then there was an exhibition in the school where they presented some of their drawings to the parents, and it was excellent. And now you realize that in class his behavior even changed, and then the way he responds towards me even changed. So this is what educational field trips are there to do. Because you realize, like she said, life out there is not scripted, but in the classroom things are scripted. So when we got outside, you realize that we are free, everyone is free, we are interacting, and then that could also help in their communication, even as students, and even how some of the students respond to the teacher could change after an educational field trip.
Great, but in everything we do, we will always face difficulties or challenges. Planning these trips also comes with understanding how you want it to be, where you want it to be. I mean, the expected outcome from you, and including the young people you are taking out. Considering these little difficulties, what do you think would be some of the challenges that both the school, maybe the teacher, and that of the students or the young people, what do they face in terms of difficulties when they go out there to experience firsthand information or activity from you, given your experience, Harvey?
What do they face? Must say when it comes to the students, you talk about the students and the people that are actually guiding them, the chaperone. On both sides, there's a challenge. Okay, there's a challenge because out of the classroom, we are from different families. You understand? And the kids actually come to school with the home education, right? And they don't. Daddy don't want me to sit like this. Mommy don't want me to do this. I want you to go this way, and you have to balance all that to make it look, quite interesting. You will always have, like I say, someone that will actually challenge you. But as a teacher, of course, you have to be a psychologist also, right? You have to be a psychologist also and know how to balance things, okay? And because, first of all, if someone have in him, like a student that wants to be a pilot, for example, okay, and he gets out there and he see a big airplane, and start running to go toward the airplane, you have to a way to stop him, but without stopping the excitement in him, You understand? Because that's like a natural things that came out. You understand? Because yes, this is something that he always sees on the TV, but today it's live in front of me. So the way it will move, I mean, it's not gonna actually follow the discipline or what was said. Okay, I don't want nobody to step out of the, the line or whatever.
Or the box.
No, exactly. So you'll be just natural. So this is stuff that you have to actually know how to, exactly, manage,
Okay.
and
But
vice versa.
In addition to that, Matty, what would be your experience that you can share with us? The challenges the students face, including how institutions prepare these field trips or educational ventures for the young people.
I think I can't speak from the school's
Yeah,
perspective.
vice versa.
Yeah, of course.
But-
Addition to
Jiba-
that,
Jiba-
Matty,
Jiba
what
would do
be,
that.
your
Jiba can
experience
explain
with that.
Yeah. But I wanted to say, I think there's probably a budget challenge because I know also oftentimes schools and even teachers they want to conduct some activities, give students certain opportunities, but it's difficult to create them for budget reasons. And so because of that, a lot of the opportunities you get as a student for field trips or extracurricular activities are kind of based on merits and things you can win, if I can put it that way, like you're selected for them. And I think it's a good thing as a student. If you're performing well, you should be, you should have opportunities maybe to encourage even others who are not performing yet in that way to do better and make more efforts. But I also think field trips, for instance, are things everybody should have access to. And so that's a challenge particularly I would hope, would be addressed, but at the higher level, meaning like the Ministry of Education, kind of seeing how can we, in the design of our educational system, its review and how we also allocate budget to different things, how can we make sure students have exposure to different things in their environment so that they can choose career pathways that serve the country later on. So that's the challenge I kind of wanted to advocate on. But on the student side, I think it's just making mistakes and knowing how to, learn from those mistakes. I'm also speaking from a very Francophone background, so making mistakes is a big deal, I think, in the Francophone world. I think I had to really be in an English-speaking world to kind of get comfortable with just doing things wrong sometimes and learning from it. And I think it's a challenge students face. It can go the wrong way if they don't have a teacher, like he said, for instance, who has some psychology background and can make sure they provide guidance for the students to learn from it and not dwell on that. So I would, that's maybe what a challenge I can speak on.
Okay, from the background of an educator, what would you say, Jiba? What are the challenges? You plan these trips. What are the difficulties do you encounter?
Yeah, in the case of the bird trip that we organized, initially, knowing that I'm from the Gambia, I know few places here, but I think one of the challenges is knowing where you are going to. Like in my case, when I got in touch with this parent, he was able to identify a place that we can go for the educational field trip. But like he said, you realize that there are certain challenges when students are out there. They might want to behave free because they are in a free setting, so they might be overexcited and all that. So for me to eliminate some of those things, what I did was I took my time to visit Technopole on my own for the first time and then observe the place and then put myself in a way that, okay, if I come here with my students, what are some of the things that could be distractions? What are some of the things that could affect their safety? Then when I was able to do that observation, I reported back to the school and I told them, okay, I've been to the place and I don't think there are any safety issues that might arise. But the problem is the place is a wide place and I would need this number of teachers to go with me to help me so that I would divide the students into 5 groups by each group will be 5 students or let's say 10 students, and then they will be headed by one teacher with one tour guide. And then I think if you're able to design your educational field trips in such a way you'll be able to maximally benefit from that educational field trip. Number one, you're going to eliminate distractions, and then number two, you'll be able to control the students, and then the reason why you are there will be achieved. So that is how I conducted my educational field trip. First, I went to the place, I saw the place, and then observe what are some of the distractions, and then how can we eliminate some of those distractions. I reported back to the teachers that I was working with, and then the school administration, and then we were given the go-ahead to come down. So when we came, it was very easy to conduct. Within 2 hours, we were able to see over 200 birds. And then our guides, each and every student was with a telescope, and then binocular and telescopes, telescope for each group, and then each student was having a binocular, and we were able to do our observations, and we went. And when we went back, we were able to sit together again, and then the students did their presentation and all that. So it depends on how you design your field trip as a teacher.
Right. But now, should field trips be made compulsory in the curriculum for institutions? Do you think that should be compulsory for you have it?
Field trip, definitely. It's part of education.
Why?
Because, I mean, it brings, like I say again, education is not only sitting on a bench inside of a classroom. I take myself as an example, okay? When I step out of the classroom, you know, I feel good. Not that I don't like the classroom, but at one point you get like tired of sitting at the same place. That's why we have a break. You know, when we're in a classroom, you know, you can come in the morning, and at 10 or 11, there's a break. And when there's a break, you see all the kids running outside because they just want to get that, you know, oxygen, that different environment, you know, and get more strength to come back and continue, you know, the lesson that they left when they were going out there. So that's the, you know, something that field trips actually bring. And field trips actually also can bring something that was hidden, like inside the student. Yeah, you can see him getting good grades in class, in math or geography or history. Meanwhile, is not actually what he is going to be in his life. Like, you know, but once he step out there, you know, the real him will come out, and maybe from there, something will change actually, and he'll switch from actually want to be a doctor to be just a football coach or something, you know.
Okay.
So it's for me, it is very important.
All right. What's about you, Marty? Should that be compulsory?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think some forms, like he said, opportunities to kind of get oxygened. I mean, it depends. I was lucky enough to be part of an exchange program for a whole year. You know, that's kind of beyond a field trip, but it's an extended field trip, and it really confronts you to who you are, what you're passionate about, your limitations, maybe things you might need to work on to grow as a person, and that kind of discovery about yourself you just can't get in a classroom. Like sitting in the classroom and learning doesn't provide that all the time.
You talked about budgetary constraints.
True.
There are some schools who may not have the financial resources to take students out almost every academic semester or so.
Yeah, but I think he gave really nice examples. So there's some opportunities that might not require, a certain level of some budget. So I think it's also something worth thinking about, meaning there's a level of intention that has to come from our authorities, from educational bodies in general, teachers, in integrating this as part of our educational system, because the budget constraint is a big challenge, but I think think there are ways to go around it. And furthermore, sometimes there are organizations that are willing to support this for certain schools, especially public schools. There are organizations, nonprofits, who look for schools and institutions to support vulnerable kids, also to give the opportunity to discover different things. So there are different ways that can be explored, and I think it takes some intention from our authorities and teachers, and even at the community level, parents can come together and say, we want our kids to experience this and that. What can we do? So
Great. Well, I'm viewing from our YouTube channel at Susan Jiba says watching you from the Gambia. Okay, thank you, Susan. You can also tell us what do you make of educational field trips? How does it help you as a young person? Have you ever benefited from a field trip? How was it like? Just share your thoughts with us, and we'll also read that. I see Anu Yasha Kakad is watching. She says, Mati. Okay, thank you. Mati is right here. You can share your opinion with us. Aminat Low is also following. She says, great ML watching from Chowri Azor. Thank you also for following us. Now let's look at the role of parents in helping schools, ensuring that young people are often taken on field trips so that they can experience first-hand activities or information. What role do they play in helping you as an educator? For you, Jiba.
Yeah, for me, I think at least be where I work, I would say that the parents are very proactive when it comes to the education of their kids. I wish each and every parent is like that. Then it will become very easy for teachers to deal with students and also plan some of these educational field trips. You realize that, like I said, when I was planning, I didn't know where to go. It was a parent that was able to connect me to Technopole through an in-law. And again, when we presented the idea to the parents, they were like, okay, let's do a pilot program and see how it goes. And now we are done with the pilot phase. Now when we come September, we are also going to do it again, and I believe then it will go a long way, because some of the parents are even willing to sponsor the educational field trip.
Talking about some of the parents, and some are concerned about where their kids are going. Some are afraid, I don't want my kid to leave the school. Please, my kid is not going. Sometimes these are experiences that teachers or educators come across.
Like Mati said, it takes one need to be intentional about it, and then it depends on how also you design it and then sell it to the parents. Like I said, imagine if your child is under me and I'm taking your child to an educational field trip, and as the teacher I went there to see the place and I'm giving you feedback. Then it would become very easy for you to let your child to go with us, because you will know that this teacher is intentional about this teacher is doing, he knows what he is doing. So it will become very easy. So I think this goes to all teachers out there. If you want to plan an educational field trip, you need to be intentional about it. You need to design it in a way that you'll be able to clear the doubts of the parents, so that they will have that confidence on you to go with their kids.
Okay, that's right. Well, as we wrap up, for you, Harvey, tell us, what message would you give to policymakers, national leaders, including NGOs, in terms of supporting or investing in educational field trips as part of quality education?
First of all, from my experience, going to school overseas, you have actually fun going to school, and it's very interesting because teachers, accommodation, you have everything, you understand? Meanwhile, in Africa, you have so many intelligent and smart kids, but accommodation are poor, you understand? And I think this is something that we can come over. Like we can make a change, because so many schools doesn't have a chance to go on a field trip, even one single field trip. And so some public school, they don't have it, and knowing that they don't have all these privileges and they are good, they have good grades. Can you imagine if they have everything, like the minimum, just one or two field trips? You understand? So I want my leaders, like the government, the people that make, the rules, the people that decide, for the countries and everything. I think for me, this is not a luxury. It's not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a luxury. Definitely not. It is necessary. You understand? It is very important to achieve your education. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's very important.
Thank you so much, Harvey, for coming and sharing your experience with the young people today. We really appreciate you. And our doors are open to have you here another time.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. What's about you, Jiba? What can you say to policymakers, educational stakeholders, including parents, in investing more into field trips for students?
Yeah, I think this is, like he said, it's not a luxury. This is a necessity. Except if we want to graduate students that are just book smart and then they are not street smart, students that cannot interpret what they've been taught from the lower grades coming all through to the higher grades. Except if we want to develop such type of students, if we are aiming at developing students that are ripe for the job market, like Mati said, then I think this is something we need to invest into. It helps them in choosing their careers. It helps them in even interpreting their wider environment. It helps them put themselves in what they are going to be in life after school. So you realize that this is something very important. Like for me, where I come from in the Gambia, we have what we call school improvement grant. It's a grant that is allocated for each and every school, especially public schools, that could be used to sponsor some of these educational field trips. So I don't know whether that is something that happens in Senegal here, but then if it is not something that happens in Senegal, I think they should look into going that path, that each and every public school is assigned a small amount of grant that could be used for activities like this. It's very important. You realize that through some of these educational field trips, students actually discover themselves. A student might be lost. They are trying to find who he or she is. But with just a single educational field trip, it could be very transformative that the students could discover him or herself. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Jiba, for coming today. We appreciate you.
It's a pleasure.
And to you, Mati, whether you live in Oswith?
Yes, so I want to start with our people in leadership. I think the government in general. This is, if the data is showing elsewhere that it's making significant difference in how young people turn out in the job market. I don't think we're the exception, and we need this specifically because we're a continent that's in majority made of young people who are going to be one of the largest young populations in the world in just a few words. So I think education is fundamental, and it's absolutely priority that they make sure to update our educational system in this way. And I think at the ground level for teachers and parents, let's not wait for that. As much as we advocate for it, we advocate for our leaders to actually look into this and see ways they can improve our educational system. Let's not wait for it. Let's be proactive, like Jiba described, really going out there and looking for what's possible beyond even field trips, extracurricular activities. I know we always say to students here, study, and it's very important, but getting out the classroom and dealing with the real world early on is also as important.
Thank you so much, Mati, for being here today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Listeners and viewers, that's it on this edition of Take the Lead on West Africa, the Democracy Radio 94.9 FM and online at WADR.org. Thank you for being with us. Join us next Friday for another live edition of the program. Remember to take the lead in shaping the discourse for the betterment of young people in Africa. My name is Augustine Cully. I'll talk to you another time.
Hey people, my name is Mello, Afrobeat singer from Guinea, and I love listening to the program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.
Hello, my name is Fatou Binta Rasuke. I'm the CEO of African Start Shop, and I love listening to the program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.